Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Hi. I'm Moxie. Playing with my gloves, scratching my head. That's what you do when you stream in. Just like a normal person. Totally not a robot. Don't think I am. But if I was, that'd be pretty impressive, right? As a human, I'm just a human. But a robot, I mean, I'd be pretty cool. Because, at least I think so. Not for much longer. If robots really start picking it up, they'll be way cooler. Then I'll be sad. Then I'll have no chance. Hi, I'm Motzi. I'm sure if you're showing up at the beginning of my stream, you already know who I am. Tonight we're going to fix some bugs. I'm actually on an old version of the code. Why? Because the last release, of course, I broke things. And now I got to fix things. But the greatest thing about breaking things is you get to fix things. So, job security for all that I get paid to do this. Oh, man, my hourly rate on this is like pennies. Pennies. Certainly a labor of love. Lub. A labor of love. Labor of love. Here's the issue I'm fixing right now. I think I already fixed it. I don't recall if I tested it, actually. Let's find out. Play. I don't recall if I actually tested the thing that I was fixing. We're having this continued issue where see the continue button's not showing, the continue option. Maybe I never. And I need to fix it. The issue. That's what I need to do. So find out. The reason it happens is because the way this data manager is initialized doesn't happen in sequence because there's a lot of files to load, and I didn't want to have to make it synchronous and slow things down. Maybe I shouldn't worry about that because it's probably not that much slower, but I didn't want to. So here's the question, though. This should be initialized. It should be working, but maybe it's not. Let's find out, shall we? One of these days, I'm going to have to go through and clean out all the different bug messages because they bother me. See how I didn't say they bug me? Not a jokey night tonight. Tonight we are serious. We are bug hunters. We're hunting the bugs. And when you get serious about bug fixing, you do not make jokes. But you do wait a while for compilation processes to complete. Because that's what life is when you work on code in C#. Look at all these warnings. Can you imagine not having any of these either? Field is assigned but never used. Yeah. There's a lot of that in here too. Only imagine writing code that was clean. Can only imagine. Okay. So why is this not working? As initialized. Save data initialized. Update continue button has save files. Bosh, gay game dev. I'm happy to have you here too. thought you were a musician. You're a musician and a game dev? Are you both? Are you a... You missed your opportunity. You're not a gay game dev. You're a gay dev. Hi. Game dev. Gay me dev. In fact, it even is more explicit. But not like in a sexual way. I do level design on Robodome. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to drop that link? I mean, to yourselves, I guess. I don't know. I don't think my viewership is very large right now, so probably not a big deal. You know what? I'm saving that. Well, congratulations on being a game dev. Game dev. Part of the Astral Coast. Were you robodoming tonight? Today? I don't know what time of day it is for you. As save file. So the problem is, could be possibly that there are no save files. I guess what I could do is oop. I think I might know. I think I might know what's going on here, but I gotta be sure about it. It's night. I hear too. Working on a race level and a fun new arena. That's awesome. Do you normally do level design, or is it something that you're picking up as sort of a new skill and capability? In this line of work, I mean, anything can be new and exciting. Possibly. So this is the problem. Why is it not? Could be because it's like updating twice. Okay, so you're newer to it, but I also presume you're enjoying it. I think I would like to do level design, but I haven't done a lot of it myself. Because then I get too much into like, can I solve this problem or that problem? Like I get into like the technical problem solving. I don't know why this isn't working, because it, even if, look at this, 0 and 15. So checking for save files, it does it twice and then it gives up. Oh, it's happening twice. Okay. So what is this? Upgrade save system? What if I just get rid of this one? Maybe that's smarter. But because I have to do the underlying technology part, I do get a little hung up with problem solving. I like making things complicated. I'm just reflecting on life. I can't achieve anything unless I make it difficult for myself. That's all. That's all I'm saying. It's not like, you know, I'm blessed to be able to just doing the fun stuff. Yeah, well, I can't do fun stuff. I can't. I don't know. It's not like, it's not for lack of desire. And I'm not saying I never have fun, but the notion that I could just do fun stuff, it doesn't work for me for some reason. If I really want to achieve the things I want, it's always got to be somehow complicated and difficult and stressful, and I don't know why that is. It's not, again, there's not a self-induced like I'm intentionally making my life difficult. It's just I notice that when I have the opportunity for quote unquote fun stuff, it doesn't materialize. But if I do, difficult stuff, it's fine. I can do that. Yeah, that's life. I don't know. Silly Billy, I suppose. Okay, so I'm fixing bugs right now in the current build. So this is the older version of the code. There's a lot to unpack, and you don't have to be my therapist, right? I was just reflecting that it just seems like that's what happened in my life. That's all. Let me think here. I wanted to go to the config controller. And I want to figure out, for what it's worth, I did severely overcomplicate things. That's okay. But and that's not really what I'm even talking, doing something complicated and solving a problem is fine. But if I were to look at the difference, I would start to do a level design. And since I have the code, I'd be like, well, what if I want this feature here? Okay, now I have to do this feature. So then I'm okay, well, I should go and solve that in the code. And then I start writing some code to solve one problem. And then I realize, wait a minute. Really, to do this properly, if I'm going to be doing this a lot, I'm going to need to refactor this piece of code. And it just snowballs. My coworker told me that there's supposed to be a word for this, which is where you go in to try and solve one problem, and then you end up 10 layers deep investigating a different thing. And he said, I swear there's a word for it. There was a whole article on it, and we can't find it. It's not snowball, no, but it's supposed to be this thing where if you're, intellectually looking to solve something, and then in the process of doing it, you get into the twilight zone, and it's not like snowballing, and it's really ADHD honestly, but he swears up and down that there was some article, there's some terminology, and to this day we still haven't figured out what word he was trying to look for. He said there's one word for it, and he had no idea. I know, it's maybe it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. No, not Dunning-Kruger. The Mandela effect happening. Everyone, yeah, rabbit hole's the generic term, but there's there's something specific to technology problem solving. Yeah, it may be the Mandela effect. It actually doesn't exist as a word, but everyone believes it does. Okay, so what I need to do is, apparently, selected tab. Here's what I want to figure out. This is not a big deal, but you see when you go in here, these little sound bars, they act like sound bars in the game. Or sorry, like health bars in the game, where if it's full, it'll blink that way, and if it's negative, it'll change red and stuff. I liked the idea because it's giving the player an opportunity to see something that looks like health in the game. I didn't make it red though, I just made it dark. And it's so silly, but I tried to make it so when you were hovering here, it would blink, and I broke something. Oh, yeah. Thanks for the raid and stuff. Go take your contacts out. Do your thing. Don't feel like you have to sit there and talk to me. General? Maybe I should maybe I should just cheat it. Maybe that's what I should do. I should just hack it. Because my whole thing was I had put an OR statement here that caused it so the sounds would play while you were just like exploring the world. And it's super embarrassing that I achieved that. Settings. Instance. How do we do the current tab? I can do like selected tab index maybe? Is there like a select tab? Let me see what selected tab is. Is that a, no, it's not a number. If we say select tab, we'll do public int. We'll just like find the index of the first selected tab. This is me totally cheating, but I just want this to work. I'm gonna do it. This is just bug fixing. That's all I'm doing. If we're on the first tab, then we will also allow things to get up. Although I think I want to do something slightly different. Maybe what I'll do, actually, because I don't really want like all of this code to trigger, I'm gonna put an else. Okay. Else. If. There we go. We'll do that. So if it doesn't trigger this, but the selected tab is 0, then it should cause that blinking to happen when general is selected. That's just a theory. A code theory. And bugs. I'm gonna go take a look at the things I have to fix. I think I committed to 3 things to fix tonight. Maybe. There's one like sound issue I should probably fix too. So the continue option is a major one. The sound one is a major one. There's also a sound issue in the water temple. There was another one. Where's my? There's one about like the equipment screen. Fresh installs, editing controls, sound. Huh. I guess I never made a ticket for it. I gotta go find it. Because I think this one is very likely legitimately needing to be. Okay, so wait, let's test this while we run it. I'm gonna go look at my support forum. Okay, editing sound. Sage didn't auto level. I think that one was supposed to. Issue with changing. I could show you guys the Discord. It doesn't really matter. But, changing to the other world. This one's a weird one. We got to fix later. Movable map and labeling echo node. Oh, that's not. That's a mistake to category selections. At the time, I didn't make this thing happen. I don't know what that one is. Can I access save games in a conventional way? Oh, that's the one. Okay, controller input's not working properly. Equipment missing for player. Okay, that one's fixed. Maybe they never created a ticket for it. Yeah. Okay, so there was never a ticket created. I gotta figure out where that one goes. There we go. Okay, so now we gotta do a test real quick. We're going to blow your eardrums out. Hopefully not. Turn the volume way down. So we're getting the clicky sound. We're not getting an extra clicky sound here. Okay. So I have fixed the issue. That's good. Music back on. I got some really cool music in this streaming list from a very talented music. Where's I swear I have it in here. What? Where's oh, there it is. Is this the only one I have? This one's pretty sweet. I don't know if you guys ever heard this music before. Pretty cool music. I hear this composer is a nice person. Okay. So I didn't mean to make that sound like it was a question mark. So I think I do want to go look at the sound for the temple. Because that is going to be kind of annoying if the sounds don't line up. Let's go take a look at this issue here. Continue option not showing. Sage and auto level. Where is the stupid sound issue? My ticket. Sound on the water gates. Okay. When using these water gates to open, the sound appears super loud. Okay, so that's going to be in the temple. I'm going to see what we use when we play the sound. Berry Temple floor 1? No, we don't want floor 1. Well, it doesn't matter what. Hey, Bosh, did you hear the music I'm playing? It's from a pretty awesome composer, as far as I know. Oh, thanks. The volume would be 100%. I wonder... Playing sound effects should match the game volume. The music sounds pretentious. Yeah, but you gotta have a little bit of pretension when you're as awesome as this composer is. Just saying. Can't really do much about that when you're just as cool as... Well, who is this person? Let me see. Basque H. Fire. Something like that. I can't read it very well. It's tiny. I wonder if the reason this issue was happening is because of the weirdness with the controls. Because there's nothing about playing sound effect that would cause... Oh, maybe there is. Oh, crap. Hold on a second. Is that volume? A background sound? No, this should be using the game volume as a setting. Not Twitch just totally dying on you? No. I think that's the only Bosch song I have in here. I thought I had a whole list of them, but I think it was because your songs were not quite aligned with the 8-bit, or maybe I don't know. I thought I put more than one in here for some reason. All right, so we figured out the save issue. I got to go back and restore my save files. I deleted a bunch of them. I'll get rid of this save folder. You guys have a release date for Robodome yet? But you joke. I've had people absolutely fail the exact manner trying to pronounce my name. You check the sounds as a service then. SAAS, sounds as a service. Are you laughing about my question on whether you'd have? No, we do not. Okay. Game dev industry is interesting. Very interesting. That's right. Very interesting industry to be part of. Oh, weird. Did I not have more? I had more saves. Oh, YOLO. No more saves in my cloud for Atlas. Doodle. We didn't need any save files anyway. What are we even doing here? Working on the friends and family playtest. You have friends and family? The friends and family plan? I wonder if I have any temple. I used to have temple stuff in here. But, like, you guys have to have some kind of sense of your plan, right? Like, marginally? Yeah. I mean, you're at least getting it into Steam. There's something to that. Alright, well, first off, the sound is pretty loud. Let me go turn it down. I want to... I don't want to simulate. Actually, what's interesting is, like... the sound controls don't change until this thing stops moving. I'm going to change that too. It seems like it should change while this is moving, right? That's an annoyance. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. RPGs take a lot of work. Has anyone ever told you that? They take a lot of work. Endless Dunes Temple F1. I don't even know where this is going to take me. Let's find out. You'll have a better handle after playtesting. Look at me. I'm just, you know, off in La La Land over here. Let's just move ourselves over some. 30 and 30 maybe. Hey Pyra, you wanna come up here? We should be able to test this pretty quick. It's pretty loud sounding. Let's try to like turn the sound setting. I think I know why actually. It's because the sound that's playing for that is not part of the animation. Music and sounds go super fast. What does that mean? Oh, when you're building games. I get it. Figuring out how quickly I can make levels. Yeah. Well, and then, full-time day jobs. It's hard to do this stuff and, work and stuff. It's not the easiest thing in the world. Okay. So that audio is baked into the thing here. So let me see here. That gets played. Where does that get? Great Temple. Is it the water controller? Water volume controller? That's not volume like the sound, just to be clear. I forget what it is you do. Are you allowed to say roughly what you do for your day job? I think I heard it once and it was like not what I thought it would have been. Like something completely different. Oh, you do IT. Okay, then it must be someone else that was talking. But like IT, like you manage servers and you know how to use shell scripts in Python and like Docker containers, or like software, or even more IT, like, oh, I help install computers, or I, tell people to turn it off and on again. Like that, like literally like the IT crowd stuff. Help that. Okay. So it actually was more what I thought. When you say I do IT, I was like, oh, okay, so then you do beyond help. Okay. So what's responsible for that sound that? This is the door one. Hey, Stoff. I'm borderline junior systems admin. But are you a junior person? How can I ask your age range? You just seem so old and mature. Like you're probably 40, right? Oh, oldest Stoff maybe. Stoff is like ancient. Hey, whoa there. This is the sound. Why is the sound? But this one doesn't get affected by it. Why is this one being affected by it? These are the only places we have here. Change character graphic. That's the door. Those aren't getting used. Valve control. Let's try playing it and see what happens. Did that do something? Oh, that didn't change anything. I'm wondering if there's some weird holdover. You're 87? Early 30s, okay. You weren't in my stream today, I think, which is good. I want you to try 2 new levels. I was at office. Stoph was at office. Why did you have to go into the office? I also tried your pop-up targets, and like, damn. I don't know why I said it that way. Okay, so there's something weird happening here. There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's some code with some stuff over there. Is it the gate that's doing it? Are there like sounds attached to the water gate? Here it is. Look at this. Damn, Daniel. Okay, so this is the problem. We really shouldn't be playing the sound direct on the object. But I really don't want to go back and change everything. So, I'm going to have to do something. I need to normalize the audio volume based upon the master volume. This is, yeah. You can tell this isn't my code, by the way, because this exists. You people who know all about code. That, not that you would know about code, but like, I'm talking as if it matters. You know, a lot of developers are like, oh, I don't have to put brackets, so I'm not going to. I'm not one of those people. And see how this is anim time? Oof. Okay, so I don't actually know master SFX equals. Oops. SGB manager, I think. Configuration dot SFX file. Okay. So what we need to do here is modify this in this Watergate class. I need the audio volume set. Offset. See if the SFX volume Oh, hold on a second. Oh, I will. To learn how to spell, it's not working. What's not working? Spelling? Soph, I hope you're doing well. You were in the office, so that sounds fun, right? Office stuff. Oh, I just multiply it by the SFX volume? I guess that would make sense. Because the SFX volume is going to be a number. What's an integer? So I need to normalize it. I need to normalize it to a value that's between 0 and 1, I think. Right? I think that's right. So Good to see faces sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Guess I just normalize it by dividing it. Sure. Sometimes I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Alrighty, so this should solve our life problem. Every problem in life, this will solve. No more problems after this. My not to be depressive, okay, so this is to be clear. It was just one of those moments that made me think. At dinner, my daughter was talking about her friends. And my eldest daughter has this thing where she thinks that like doing things that annoy her friends is enjoyable. And I keep trying to say, well, that might not turn out great if you don't have some sense of compassion about it, right? And maybe she's just sort of posturing a little bit in how she's talking about it. But and it got me thinking about my friends, and I was like, what friends do I hang out with? And I don't do what she does. Maybe when I was younger I did, but then I realized that most of my friends don't even live near me. Like I can't hang out with people. It's so sad. I can't see faces. I can't really have a lot of friends at work. I'm in charge of most people. Gotta be careful. Can't be friends with people you're in charge of. Well, you can be friends with some of them if they're at like higher levels, but you can't be like best buds with someone who is not at like a manager level if you're a manager. Fraternization, people. Fraternization. Fraternization. Can't fraternize with them, okay? Not legal. Okay, now if this works, there should be no sound. Okay. Let's turn the sounds up. This issue's been there for a while. Now the sound should be commiserate. Okay. That's about right. It's not overpoweringly loud. If I turn it down here. It gets lower. Use both my ears. Although even that like watery thing is supposed to be sideways. It's not angled right. It's supposed to be at a vertical. Let's get vertical. Vertical. Is it just like a problem with our generation? Okay. Sound issue fixed. Tick, tick, tick. I have fixed 3 bugs tonight. And I call that a success. Although there's one other bug I need to look into. And I need to go look at a chat I had about this. Guess I could put the music back on. I don't need. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But how do you make friends after school? Well, I will say that my problem was more likely to do with the fact that I got along better with women than men, just historically speaking. And once I started dating the person who I eventually married, there's this sort of impetus not to really hang out with women as much. Not only because of it's sort of like, oh, I got my woman now, I don't know. It's not like that, not ownership, but like probably a good portion of my motivation for hanging out with women was more motivated by finding a partner, as opposed to just having friends, right? Not that I still had female friends and stuff, but and then once I got married and we were moving around and then we started having kids, like all that stuff just disappeared. And I never really cultivated male friendships very often. Another part of the problem is like, think about the scope of male friendships I typically had. Besides growing up in Northern California, which is much more conservative now, I didn't realize it at the time. But also, then having been in the military and after the military, realizing most of the people I knew from there were not people that I would normally want to hang out with. Let's be real. Even when I was in the military, I felt that way. It just seemed like I wasn't as motivated to cultivate male friendships. That's just what it is. And when I have had friends in the male persuasion that physically were located near me, there wasn't a lot of crossover in our interests, which has always been another weird thing. I was talking to Boss earlier about how I always seem to make my life hard. And it does seem just sort of universal that, okay, I have really good connection with somebody who's a friend, but there's no crossover on things that would maintain the friendship beyond one thing, right? Like, oh, we had friends in the swing dance community. We don't swing dance anymore. Once you stop doing the thing, they're not as much friends, right? I have a buddy who's a really pretty good friend, but he doesn't play video games, doesn't care about video games. He likes sports, and it's just like, I can't connect. There's nothing I can find to make a connection to maintain. So weird. I'm not trying to be poo-poo about everything. Just to be clear. I'm not like, oh, woe is me. I just sort of reflect on my life sometimes. Like, how did this happen? Why does it happen this way? Okay, here's the issue. I don't have any other items. So there's the issue where you go to look at equipment, you don't see the description, and when you equip the secondary item, it doesn't affect your stat. Sorry for the camera burp. I don't think I ever made this thing into a ticket, so I'll make the ticket now. Oh, hey, Staff, are you still here paying attention at all? I have a question for you, more of an opinion question, as opposed to any other question I would normally ask. Here, let me show you 1 second. I guess I could bring this over here. Oh, it's not like fully crashing. That's good. Hold on. This is user reported, so I want to make sure I put this in here. Someday I'm going to have a real slick system. So speaking of having a slick system for managing stuff. Where'd that image go? Where'd the other one go? I don't. Copy image. Sorry, I want to finish this thing so I don't lose it. Okay. So, I guess it's okay on my stream to say this. We're going to be posting really soon about an event that we're going to be part of. And part of it is also we're going to be announcing some things. You might be some goals that rhyme with get smarter. And one of the things I thought would be kind of neat is to have a public roadmap where we can show people. We can't show every single thing we're working on. Not only is that pain to manage for 2 people, but also you don't want to like give up all the details to people, so you have to like generalize some of it. But there's this tool in our Jira called Released or Release Portal, and I think, why is it not showing me anything here? Oh, here it is. I want to be able to have we can have a public roadmap where it shows like, see, here's the user reported tickets. And I don't know if people even care about that sort of thing. Do people care? Would someone want to see actual in-flight work as it's happening? I don't know if it's just my background in the SaaS world and such, but I always just have this desire, like, I don't really care about hiding stuff. People care about high level. Well, some people care about bugs, right? Like, here's these bugs right here that are in flight. And, you know, right now, while we're streaming, I'm working on it. I should actually put it in progress. Like that. Where did the issue go that I created? Yeah, I think it'd be cool for niche audiences, which isn't bad. Yeah, like it's... I guess the thing I run into a lot is people ask the same questions. But hi, Valkrissa, by the way. I hope that you're doing well. Hope that your hands are doing okay. I think that it's not that I would expect everyone to use it, but I do think there's value in maintaining a connection with your users and being transparent about what's happening. We get a lot of questions about what's in flight, what's going on with work, and so on. Why did this not update? I just moved the tickets. Does it not immediately update or something? And I just feel like it would be useful to have something like this, where you know, oh well, here's our roadmap, and when you do changes, here's our change log, which, you know, because I'm using Jira, I could literally make it track everything. It means I'll have to do more work to be consistent, because right now we just hand write our you know, release notes, but I feel like people would like it. Other devs would like it, yeah. I guess that's true. I mean, maybe some other devs could be fans. I don't know. So, yeah. I mean, I'm going to do it either way. I was just curious. Like, if I showed this and stuff, was like, oh, that's a terrible idea, I might change my decision. But I probably wouldn't. Anyway. The problem with these sort of things, like the administrative stuff, takes work. And there's plenty of work to do as well. I know you wouldn't say you hated it, but you might have some perspective like, you know, that's interesting, Motzi, but yeah, it's not really something anyone's going to care about, you know? And to be fair, I don't think a ton of people care about it. So it's not something that I'm like, I'm just nudging it along, you know? Like, I think people might care more about build. Ooh, let me geek out for a second. I did a Twitter post about this. I'm gonna geek out. I have no idea if there's anything on this computer that shouldn't be showing. So I don't think so. I don't think it's a problem, but you know, I'm very paranoid about what shows on my screen while I'm sharing my screen. So I have these whatchamacallit? I have these little gaming machines. It's like a devlog. Yeah, it is like a devlog. And one of the things I run into so I'm going to do a patch this week. And I might still have to build the patch on my own machine, but I can't do anything on my computer when I'm building Unity, because, you know, when you're in Unity, you do a build and it's like you just sit there waiting for this stupid thing to move over to the left right side. If you're building, it takes an hour and 22 minutes or something to build 3 platforms, PC, Mac, and Linux, with the highest level of compression turned on. Like the best level of compression that really, you know, if I didn't do that, the build would be like 8 gigs or something. And so it takes a while. And so I've been posting about this, but I have a build server. Now, this is how you know I'm not from the game dev industry. Because I don't know. I mean, unless you worked in a AAA studio doing some like, you know, multiplayer online game, you probably never would touch a build server. And so here I am with a build server called Team City with builds where I can actually go in and run a build. And here's all the build information. This is it. Like I can actually set it up where I push to a branch and it would just start building my product. And it's such a geeky, nerdy thing, but I'm so excited by this. I'm so excited by this to just do CI/CD. It is completely irrelevant to most game devs. Most people would not want to do this because the amount of time you save of having a server is negligible because you're not always building your product. And once you release your product, you're definitely not always building it because you're just doing some bug fixes here and there. But man, I'm so happy. Just to also figure out like how the systems work and how to get a build. The next thing I have to do with this, so right now it'll build an instance of the app. Well, it'll use the same thing I use to build everything. So it can do all 3. Then I need to make it hook into the thing I use to push to Steam. And then I want to make something where it like deploys it to a QA branch, like QA install. So that's my geeky moment. The moment of Mati geeking out. I have a whole like everything, you know, Docker containers. I got like Docker desktop installed, and I don't know if y'all even know what this stuff is. I assume you might know a little bit about it, but completely irrelevant. I could get the same effect by just having some scripts on a machine and run the scripts manually. But it's way cooler to have a build server. And this is why I may not be a successful game dev. Because, as Wallaber would say, I tend to focus on things that aren't quite important enough versus just getting the code solved. Like, getting the work done is way more important than making a build server. We use Docker, but I leave the details of setting Docker containers up to the ops team. Yeah, Docker is not hard. And now with ChatGPT, you can just be like, give me a Docker file that I need. And, you know, it only matters if you want to do any customization to the build. I mean, like, the Docker file, wouldn't be in this one because it's the patch. But the Docker files that I have are just mostly basic. I mean, all it does is it installs something and then you install a bunch of other stuff and then you got it. Yeah, whatever it keeps the... You know, it's not even... It's... Yes. Yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know if it's really about motivation in my case. But yeah. I guess it's not about motivation. I'm gonna go here and then I'll set myself. I think it's that for me, it's like when you have an itch on your back and you want to scratch it. You're like, oh, okay, I can kind of make it work with the tips of my fingers. And that's what it's like to have to run manual build. It really bugs the crud out of me that I really think that in game dev should have that stuff by default, right? Like, Unity by default should just have a multi-build platform that's easy to configure. And I think maybe the newer versions will. If it makes you happy, it can't be that sad. That's 10 extra dev points. Thanks, Rwanda. If it makes you happy. I don't know why I didn't see Nirwanda's post when I saw whatever keeps the motivation up. I think I thought it was Valkyria. I really think there should be tools just out of the box. But I guess people want to make money, right? Like Unity wants to make their money off of Unity DevOps and charge you to build in the cloud, and it takes like quadruple the time. If Unity Cloud was fast, I would probably use it instead of building my own solution. But it is slow as turds and it's expensive. There's no reason. I just can't justify it. I'd rather spend, the off and on time over a week getting this working than pay the absurd fees for Unity Cloud. It is insanely expensive. It's not worth it. I guess DevOps is just, it's a lot of work. I don't know. Can you imagine like you just had some open, like, oh, here's your thing that you can use to do your builds, and all you got to do is go and tweak some settings and it'll just trigger your build system. Someday. Maybe that's what I'll go into. Instead of having a game studio to make games, I'll do all the platforming stuff. As in the platforms that are used to help developers, indie devs, make their games faster. By making my life harder. Where do I want to go? I want to go to... I don't need to go anywhere. I'm debugging too much. I'll just give myself every item. Actually, do I already have the item? Oh, that's weird. Okay, so it's just a conch shell that's doing it. And but the last item doesn't show. See that? It doesn't show the description, but it does show the effect. I wonder if the conch shell is the problem. Conch. Unity Cloud mangled my project one time when rolling back, and I gave up on it forever. I don't blame you. It didn't mangle our project, but first off, I couldn't get the build working, and it would take 2 hours to find out that it failed. And then after that point, I still have to pay for the cost, the charge of running it. So if the build doesn't work, yeah, it just seems absurd. Not a very valuable tool for a small indie dev. I suppose for bigger studios it might be useful. It probably does save more time. I want demo build check. Why is that? Enable on. No, I don't want that either. Is debug mode. There we go. But Valkyria, do you use Unity? I thought you switched over to Godot. After the whole Unity fiasco. Or are you back at Unity now? Because they took away that platform fee nonsense. I guess it's give all items. Here's a good stress test, by the way. Oh, oh no, we're not in the store, so that's okay. The UI does not handle this many items up very well. In my day job, we use Unity in HTML5. Okay. Wasn't it like a slot machine type of thing, or like gacha game things, or I can't remember what you said. It wasn't something that was super exciting to you, but that you did it. Okay. So here's the problem. This is not a bug that I need to work on. The conch shell just doesn't do anything. It's literally the conch shell Oh, no, it isn't. Oh, weird. It says it raises your HP and AE by 30 points. No, what it does is nothing. So this is not showing how it would affect HP and AE. It does affect those things. But anything that affects HP and AE is not showing. Okay. So that's actually not as bad as I thought it was. Kind of more of a visual bug. Double down casinos. Yeah. So you have like a casino-y type of thing. I mean, why do people do game dev? To make money? Because they love it? Imagine how exhausting it is to be in a position where your whole career is based upon your ability to keep people happy and engaged in what you're doing, producing. Like I don't know what you would call it. I'm sure there's a term, like the efficiency factor or something. Like if you talk about work product, something you produce for something you get back. Like, so I'm going to produce something to get money back in some way. Entertainment's got to be the worst area unless you just really feel compelled to do it. Because that work product you produce is at the whim of the people who are interested or not in it. Other things like a utility, if you solve a problem for somebody, it doesn't matter how pretty it is or how engaging the product is. If it solves something for you, you'll pay money for it. But entertainment, you gotta like get people interested. They've gotta want to like spend luxury money on your product. Okay, so I know what this issue is. The issue is it's not, and it's weird. I guess I must have not put something for the help. I gotta figure that out. Okay, that's good to know. Unfortunate. How does that work? Equipment. View control. And the more crazy part to me is that I would still leave my day job for the games industry if I could make it lucrative enough to do it. Have a stable job, chief technology officer, in charge of lots of people, have basically a say in all the technology decisions. And I don't mind that, but I really want to do game dev. What's wrong with me? Can't I just not want to do this? How is this the way things are? Load status details. Is this what it is? I've got to figure out where like the health and other settings go. Oh, Krista 2024. You got to follow your heart, even when your heart is stupid. It's a very sage observation. My dumb heart wants to dumbly do dumb things. I mean, but also, to be fair, teachers, right? Like my wife is a music teacher. She loves her job. She'd never leave it. She's at the type of job she would want to do, and it pays a fraction of what I get paid in my day job. So yeah, plenty of things out there like that, right? It's not just game dev. Listen to your heart. I do like being in sort of the SaaS software industry, you know, as evidenced by my desire to make a build server. Like I like those type of problems. It's not really something that I completely eschew and I hate. I've been in the same job for 7.5 years. The part of the problem is like the particular industry I'm in is not my favorite and I need some kind of change. But like other than that fact, there's nothing wrong with the job I have, or like the working in the SaaS-based industry. But doing this game dev stuff has just been a lot more fun and stressful. These type of problems are just so different from the type of problems I've ever had to solve. Worrying about, update loops, it frames, every partial millisecond of running of your code is just so different than worrying about how fast a web request can come back. Both valid problems to solve. They're just different problems to solve. Excuse me. Okay, so this is the view. Why are they off-centered? That happens. Left column. I might just not work on battles at all and just do bug fixing tonight. We'll see. I want to work on the battle system, but I know there's a few things we want to get ready for this event that's coming up. So, which one is this? Which one is the wrong one is what I got to decide. The one that's more to the left? Why are these so off? $120. Characters. This is the whole thing. Okay, so that one's left 12. No, that one's fine too, though. It's 12 and 12. Right, 130. That'd be like a width thing or something. Width is 273. I did this differently. Why did I do it differently for these two things? I don't understand why. This has like a hard-coded width and it's a vertical layout group. Okay. This one is not a vertical layout group. Part of the problem. So if I can match them up, I would have to do... Only the text that's the problem. I'll just move the text over. Your past self wanted to make things interesting for the future you. With this problem, yeah, I think that it was just about the timing and trying to solve. When you're making some of this stuff, you just got to make it work. And then you're like, oh, I didn't do that quite like I should have. What did I do? It's off to the right by like 5 pixels. Not the whole view though, because this image is fine. But we're not using a layout group, are we? No. Oh, I did this by the right hand side. Okay, so then that would mean I can just do like negative something. Negative what? Negative 2.4. What? Are you kidding me? Why is it what negative 2.5? Okay. Fine. Unlike the thing that sort of, because you would appreciate this, Valkyria, because you do web development as well. You do HTML5. So whenever you work in web development, doing arbitrary changes like this is a bad idea. Because if you can't make your layout use something fluid and consistent, and you're having to do like fractional changes, then when you get to a browser that renders slightly different, it can break the visuals. Now, nowadays, most browsers use the same base, so it's not as big of a deal. A lot of them are based off of Chromium. But back in the day, it was wildly different. And it can still be a problem, right? But like, you have full control of the app. Making something a fractional difference doesn't make a difference. Fine. Everything's good here. So the problem is we don't have any stat settings on the character. That's the real problem. Yeah. I never considered that I'd have to put like a plus or minus on this. So let me think about how I did this. I think there was a way I actually solved this problem in another world. In the inventory controller. There's such like, I can't believe how long some of these bugs have been here. Long time. We have select left column. This is the inventory view. If I hide the equipment view for now, that's inventory. So this thing here, which is in this character template, this data object. How did I do? Zetengrim. I don't know how you say it. Thank you for the follow, though. Stengrim? Stengrim?
I got so good at using the keyboard with my hands, I practiced and became an expert with my feet. I'm a pro toe typer. Motzi. Enjoy your horn of shame.
I was exceptionally proud of that joke. And Vimlark's ability to read that just on the fly. That was a moment. Okay, so I didn't do anything to update this in here. X10Grim, that makes more sense. Welcome. Are you a game dev streamer? Game dev streamer? Do you have a game? I see you have a number of followers, so you must be a streamer. You play Destiny, possibly. You've got the super ultra combo, which I don't know what that means. But it sounds cool. How did I do this then? Must not be, it must be like the character view controller. I know I did something that would show how health got affected. Oh, thanks for giving me the clap stuff. I appreciate that. As always. Only from you, but I still appreciate it. I know I made a thing that would show the status of the character. Inventory item view. State values. The inventory view. Status preview. Okay. In a way, what we were looking at, I've not. Wait, what were you looking at? I clicked on your name. I have not streamed Destiny in a hot minute. I clicked on your name and it shows like, oh, I can't. It shows this little thing, and I was just looking at your badges because I'm curious. You're doing great, bud. You just finished your BS. Yeah, I'm all good. I've got a degree in BS as well. And I work on games on the side when I can. On the side, got it. Do you stream your game dev? Are you? When was your last video? 3 months ago. What? Maybe it's been a minute. Congrats on getting your degree. What have you made any games you want to share? The character view show. Okay, here it is. Right here. Status preview. Okay. So I think I actually used the character view. I hope I did the thing that I would normally do. This is where I'm going to talk smack about Wallaber. Totally. I'm going to just crush him. I'll be like, Wallaber, and then I'll be like, oh wait, he was really helpful and nice to me. I should be not so mean to him. Okay. Check this out, yo. This character view, this little cat thing, whatever. Even though I copied it to a different location, I used the base class. And then I made this thing where I could apply a preview to it as long as I can calculate that preview. So the only thing that's missing is I don't think in the equipment view, I actually applied the preview to it. You plan to in the future? Okay, well, it's cool. I mean, you always got to start somewhere. I'm 43 years old, way past my degree time. And, you know, finally in the last 4 years, I've been doing actual game dev. Not full time, on the side as well. So this thing here specifies yes, we can do this. It specifies the preview of the character. So in the equipment view, do I use this though in the equipment view? That's interesting. I wonder if I do use this in equipment. I use it in the skills view and I use it in the inventory view. I don't use it in the equipment view. So how the flip do I do it in the equipment view? And why did I decide to do that one different? Probably because it's different stats that are being affected, I'd guess. So that is details controller. How do I generate? I can still do this though. So this is the equipped effect versus non-equipped effect. Okay. So then I think I need to just steal some values and use it somehow. Okay. Okay. So then what I would need is equipped effect dot how does this status detail keys player stat. The problem is that equipment doesn't normally show what it affects for health. That's what the problem is. How's the coding going? You know, I'm trying to bug fix right now. You know how that goes. I wonder why there's no help. How does the conch shell work? Conch shell? Conch? Because it definitely affects the equipment. The values change. There must be another way. On equipable item submit. Okay. We get the item. We get the index. If it's an accessory, we equip the accessory. Refresh items, refresh equipment. How do we math this thing? Hey, Nightfall, how are you doing? How goes your project? Did you finish the Game Jam game? Or Vim Jam? Gotta figure out how the equipment stuff works. On equipable items selected. So we get the item from inventory. We get the index. We get equipped stacks of the item. Stacks. But it doesn't have health in there. So how does it do health? Health. There's no health. Oh, there it is. Right there. Okay. Okay. So did I just not make an equipment effect? Okay. So how am I going to do this? Oh no, it does return equipment effect. Okay, so this is equipment effect right here. Okay, so equip. Max, no. Maybe I just never made a mapping for it. You may have found a new job? Congrats. Is it going to be doing game dev or is it going to be doing something else? Okay. So I never made something that would be able to get the equipment effect data appropriate. That's really what the problem is. This says if there's not an item, or if the item does not equal null, then we do all this work. And we set hero equip stat this. I just never made a value for it. That's funny. Let's take a look at hero dot max hit point and max magic. So that's my problem. I created my own problem by just not doing my job. Nope. Back in the game dev doing mobile. Congrats. You're still going to work on your other stuff? Yeah, I know that's hard if you try and get a job in game dev. You sometimes get people saying, hey, you can't work on your other project, or we own your project or something. What I learned was if you say yes to that, people will happily accept it. So my wife, she made this beautiful song. It's called a choral octavo, some music teacher term. She's going to this event over the week and weekend. If you say yes to, so I'll give you the example. She's going to this event over the weekend, and in the process of leading up to this, she got a publisher that goes to that event and publishes booklets and music for these music teachers. And so she wrote this beautiful song as part of the major presentation. My wife's a very talented musician as well as music teacher, but she's mainly a music teacher. And the contract that the publisher gave her was like, it was absurd. Like, the first thing is a writer agrees to assign all rights of the song to publisher in perpetuity in the universe through every generation of child. It was just like absurd. I mean, it's insane. And I know there's people who sign these things, but since I've worked with a publisher on the game dev side, I'm like, Composy, don't sign that agreement. I mean, it was absurd. Just like, when you sign an agreement to let someone use your product, unless you really don't want it anymore, you never sign to give it up. You sign a license. You license them the right to publish your product. And the publisher then, for the honor of publishing your product, they owe you something. It's not for free. And when I say give it up, like, there's some game developer companies that would say, oh, you can't work on your other project while you're working for us. Or if you do, we own your project. So if you say yes to it, they'll happily take your product from you. And so given that I had publisher experience, I was like, no. Here, I took, a lot of the agreement stuff I have experience with and the language that makes sense. I looked up in the music industry what type of agreement it's supposed to be and language you're supposed to use, and we rewrote a contract that was much more reasonable. It was like, no, we're licensing this to you. Yes, you get the exclusive right to publish it. We'll keep your terms on the split for what you sell and all that, but none of the other terms were kept. I basically rewrote it, and the publisher accepted it. I mean, way back when I was in gaming, I wasn't allowed to. Then I moved onto slot companies. Yeah, Valkyria has some experience with that. They're far more forgiving with what you do in your free time. Anyway, it's just so interesting to me. Everything, all of it, just the entirety of things. I guess I should have done. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it just said you don't really need the field because it's not being serialized or anything. Okay, so we have the values. Now I need to apply them. Wouldn't it be funny if there was like equipment that temporarily gave you a higher level? Like while you're wearing it, it gives you 10 level points, but when you take it off, it removes those levels. That would be an interesting equipment idea. No. We rewrote the contract. The funny part was, and I told her this was going to happen. The composer was very cagey about talking. She said, "I need the contract. What's the contract? We need to talk about the terms." He'd be like, "Yeah. We'll talk about it." And then he waited until right before they were going to printing last week, and like, "Okay, here's the contract." And I know that it was also a way to kind of build pressure, like, "Oh, well, they're going to printing already. I guess I have to sign it." Like, no, you don't. They decided to print it, and you haven't signed an agreement. That's their loss, not yours. And I get the sort of, "Oh, but I want to work with them." It's like, yeah, but you can't just give stuff up. You can't do it. You have to understand the value of your product. You spent time on it. You can't just give it away to somebody. And so, yeah, we did a better agreement, and they signed it. So I was basically her lawyer or manager, although I never talked to the publisher. I know that the publisher looked at the contract, like, okay, they actually know what they're doing, so I can't get away with this stuff, so I might as well just sign it. It's just like, I mean, even to the extent that there's a clause where they have to put her copyright on the work that they print. Now, they printed like 100 copies that don't have the copyright, but whatever, she can just, because they were expecting that it would look like they made everything and they own it. And I was like, no, that's not how this works. And composer's like, well, but like book authors. And I pulled open just a random book and I said, look right here. It says text, whatever, copyright, the author. Yeah, the publisher can have a copyright. They may have done the whole shebang, so they get to put their copyright, but you get your mark as well. It's, it's really not, I mean, it doesn't matter what business you work in. If you're using any sort of entertainment, if you're doing anything that you produce materials for somebody, you should be able to have your own copyright and license that. Only time that you don't is if you're doing work for hire. If you're like the artist producing material, like you're getting paid for your time as you're doing it, or your agreement essentially says this is being done as work for hire, then you don't own the license to it, right? But typically in those cases, the artist still gets the ability to show their work, show their copyright or their mark and all that stuff. It's not like they're losing all attribution, right? And usually when you're doing like a product, like a video game, which has music and art and all these other pieces coming together, it's more because the person releasing the game needs to have a consolidated way to manage that. And if they don't have an agreement that allows them to do that, it's going to cost them more money to just do the basis of selling their product. So anyway, this is not related to coding or anything, but I felt like I should share my experience. I've had to talk to a lot of lawyers. Well, let me rephrase that. I've had to talk to a couple lawyers a lot of times in the last year. Okay, so what I can do then is it's actor status preview. Wait, equals new actor status preview. Excuse me. And then we do selected character. No. Equipped effect. Max hit point. There you go. And then this dot character, selected character dot status preview. Okay. Let's see if this works. I would have to do, what do I have to do? I have to say, like, I guess it would always show set. Right? Always happy to share what I learned the hard way. Cost a lot of money too to learn those lessons. You know, in our process of terminating with our publisher, there was a lot of learning I had to do about what our contract said and what, you know, what's considered justifiable in terms of our complaints and things like that. I've also learned why it's like the US people are pretty litigious in general. That main menu at. And so you always think like, oh, I was wronged. I can just go sue somebody. No, you cannot. Oh yeah, our publisher, we terminated with them July. But people are like, oh, well, I was wronged. I can just go sue somebody. First off, the answer is no. A lot of times, if it's a small amount, it's not even worth anybody's time to do it. So if it's like less than a couple $1,000, or even if it's like up to $12,000, it's not even worth your time. And then even if it's like just over that bubble, like it's 15K or 20K, definitely not worth your time. Because you're gonna have to buy get a lawyer and time and effort. Like you won't get any of that money back. You got to start talking about numbers that are in like hundreds of thousands or millions in order for you to really justify having to lawyer up and go that whole route. Even when you have things like arbitration clauses, because contracts can have arbitration clauses, which means instead of going to a jury, you go through an arbiter, which I don't think they are judges themselves, but they act as judges, or they can be they can listen to the cases and make final decisions, right? Including awarding money. And depending on where the jurisdiction is, those can be really good rules for one side, or really good rules for the other. And it costs money. Costs money, man. Like Japan's arbitration clauses. Japan has really good arbitration rules, but the buy-in just to go to arbitration is like 50K or something. So unless you can unless you're actually claiming to get more than that back, you waste your money. So like both sides posture because, you know, they want what they want, but neither wants to go to arbitration because it's going to be a loss for everybody. But if you're a small company versus a large company, the large company can at least absorb the cost better. And that's why people with money win so much. Not all the time. You always hear about the cases where like the little guy goes up against the big guy and wins, but that's not usually the case. Most of the time, if you don't have the money, you go to a lawyer. Lawyer will be like, I'm going to tell you up front, just don't pursue it, or just acquiesce. Don't fight it, basically, because it's not going to be worth your money. And our issue with our publisher wasn't like dire straits or something. You know, it's like we had grievances, they had grievances. We figured out an amicable separation, where nobody owed anybody anything other than the cost spent on lawyers. Still means we came out in the negative. Okay, let's see if I go find the conch shell. It did not work. Wonder if it's because it's is one of these things selected? Hide Atlas? No. That's character. Oh wait. Character view? I don't know if this is even the right character. Let's hide that. What is this? Where is this one in the scope? This is 250. If I turn on the character view again, okay, so that I have the wrong status item. So it is updating. It's just updating the wrong one. Okay, so how do I get that? Is the question. Because this is not the same image. There's got to be a way that I select these. Right? This is character view. Character details controller. Okay. What does I call it? Called character. Oh, status. Oh. Okay. So that's this thing right here. Okay. Status is like. Can I get the character then? I should be able to do this all from the status detail controller. Okay, so that's actually even nicer because I can manage it better. Instead of even worrying about this in here, we have the equipped effect. We go into this one and we say character changer equals changes. Character changes dot hit point equals player stats dot max hit point, and then we say character view and then when we clear stats preview we'll say character view dot hide show stats preview. Load status details. I think that should be okay. These are preview values. I went down a rabbit hole in fixing a less important bug, but kind of an annoying one. Hey, Sympathy. You here to chill and play Team Team Fortress Titan? Totally frugal Termite? Team Fight Tactics. Thanks for the chill. Thanks for the I don't know. Man, I should know more about it. Thanks for the lurking chill, I suppose. I was asking Sympathy for no reason whatsoever about what it's like to be in New Zealand. For no specific reason at all. Sympathy said, yeah, move to New Zealand. I said, that sounds like a good idea. I should move to New Zealand. Like between lurk and chill. NZ's amazing. Okay, so I just need to get a job there and then we're all set. Although Composey says there's no international school in New Zealand. So she's like, I don't know if that's the really best place for us to move to. Okay. So I like that is not doing this right. This is great. What would I do? I'd have to do like the max value would be the same as So it would have to be the value on the right that would change, right? Not the value on the left. I just did the math. I think I said hit point instead of max hit point. That's the problem. I've liked New Zealand before I even thought of moving to New Zealand. Actually, the whole reason, I mean, other than I watched Taskmaster New Zealand, and there's a person on Taskmaster who's from New Zealand, who I thought was a funny comedian from the regular Taskmaster. But then I also heard, like, during the pandemic, New Zealand just basically didn't have any issues because they completely locked down and adhered to actual, common practices to manage COVID, and therefore they didn't have, wild outbreaks and a bunch of people dying from it. And I was like, that sounds like a pretty cool place. Although I found out a lot of rich people are moving to New Zealand, building their, end of the world bunkers. So maybe not. Maybe that isn't the place to be. I don't know. And I'm not so sure about that Sauron guy that lives there. He's kind of sus, Likes to watch everything going on. All my friends love Taskmaster. They're flying to England to do something. Oh, yeah. There's like a thing, right? I think you said that. It's so many seasons of that show. And they've got all the spin-offs. Although apparently the American spin-off didn't really take very well. But the OG is the OG. Good old Alex and Greg. Greg and Alex. All right. Well, we're getting there. That's a problem. I have to make sure that the hit point stays the same. But let's do... Apparently the preview does need to have the existing hit points of the player. Got it. Okay, that should do it. Then I do need to figure out the conch shell. Dwarf in a strange mood. Like, going well. How are you? Hopefully not that strange of a mood. We're only coding here. There's nothing super exciting about that. Unless you like to look at code, I guess. So I want to find out why the description. On character selected description panel. So gotta be a thing that we set description with. This is the equipment item view. Okay. On item select. The conch shell has to have a description. I'm pretty sure it does. I'm doing fine. Not too strange. Mostly curious in game dev stuff. I've tried working on just little stuff, but never followed through. I know how that goes. My need for instant gratification's overwhelmed. Dwarf, may I ask, is your career somewhere in the neighborhood of programming or software or IT or technology of some sort? Because I can tell you what my journey looked like. This is real. Yeah. my other thing was my vision of what I could do versus how hard it was to get there were completely misaligned. Like the idea that I would just sit down and start making something and get a result quickly was not true. And instant gratification, I'm agreeing with the instant gratification. But there's also this component of like overestimating my ability. Period non-existent. My job is basically walking and inputting numbers. You like counting your steps or something? I've been playing games most of my life too. Quit playing games with my heart. Look at that. I don't know why I'm doing this weird dance. Bad dance. Oh, look, there's something else that affects health. Boom, shaka laka, baby. I'm doing a little dance. Do a little dance. Make a little love. Get down tonight. Get down tonight. Okay. Also, why does that not show? What's the problem? You know how I started doing game dev? So my whole career has been in technology. I decided to go the safe route and do SaaS development. And then I kept trying to do game development, thinking one of these days I'll get a startup. We'll make, the startup will make millions, and then I'll just do game dev for the rest of my life. And never happened. So I just started doing game dev and streaming it. It's the only way I could do anything. I don't do work very well on stream, but I was like, I'm just going to do this. I've tried looking up tutorials and gotten lost in tutorial help. Yeah, well, the other thing is, like, I always need a toe in the water. So even with years of programming experience, it took me finding an engine I felt like I could start using in order to make something, right? And so I found this engine called Smile Game Builder, which is sort of off the beaten path from other engines, but it felt like I could use it. And then I joined the community in Discord and started messing around with it. And I started making videos. I felt like the only way I could actually get anything done is if I try to publicly post what I'm doing and engage with other people. Because there's no way I was going to make any progress otherwise. And it happened right before the pandemic, and I started doing this, and then the pandemic happened, and I think it just like solidified it for me. I also gave up everything else in my life outside of work and my family. Like, I didn't do anything else besides work, kids and eating and stuff, and then go to bed, and then work on game dev. And incidentally, yes, other people have other learning styles. So I used to think I'd have to go to a class to learn, but I think I just needed to have something to make me keep doing. Like, the whole point is always be making something, right? And make small things and just keep. Don't make your dream game, just make something. Always make something. OMS. It's the OMS principle. On item selected. So why is this not? This is not item selected. Okay, so this is something else. It's gotta be in a different place. On equipable item selected. No, that's actually the equipment. I don't know how we show that. There's something wrong with the accessory stuff. Okay, on equipable item selected is first accessory slot. These are like the preview. That's not what I want. Go look at the object. I don't know of any course. I have no idea of my style of learning. Yeah, well, that's another problem. Figuring out your style of learning. I started making games when I was 12, and I stumbled for a month not knowing anything. But you know what? I just finished a project. I know. Did you want to share your project? Making games takes determination first and foremost. Doing anything takes that, actually. Making good games takes experience. I tend to think too ambitiously and get disappointed. Yeah, so Dwarf, that's what I was trying to say earlier. Is like, I think, think of the games I like. Like, now I'm going to set out right from the start and make a game like the one I like. And then there's all this stuff under the hood that you have to learn first. And you've got to find the tool set that works for you, because some people use Game Maker, some people use Construct or Game Builder, or RPG Maker, or whatever the tool is. It's got to be something that clicks that you actually want to use. It's a whole nother problem having to figure that out. And then, of course, then it's like after hours, like you had your day job or whatever. And like, oh, but I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I don't want to keep working on this thing. I swear, like, the game dev on streaming is not my most productive most of the time. But it certainly is more productive than previously in my life, where I would get nothing done. I would just think to myself, I want to make a game, and then I would never do anything. For instance, creating a 3D platform with deck building mechanics. Yeah, exactly. That's why I quit Twitch. Well, but Sympathy, I still do it because because there's nights where I'm like, for a month and a half or so, I wasn't streaming. And then I noticed the nights that I would normally stream, I got less done. Like, well, I'd rather get on and get a fraction done, but more than otherwise. I feel like I have to be here and doing something. I can't go and like browse the internet when I'm streaming. I mean, I could, but it's not something, because I'm here. I have to be here. I have to be doing something. And then eventually I stop because like my brain shuts off. But still, like, I have to be doing something. I can't do nothing. I can't just be like, hey, what's going on? Fine. What is it? What the heck? What is this middle one? Is it the left column? No. Content. Details. I guess I just ordered it weird. Mizoda creator, thank you for the follow. What are you creating? Doesn't have your name in there. That was the idea I had. I tried making a movable character with physics. Yeah, so you got an art. Do you got any cool art to share? Are you a streamer? No. Well, you got some followers, right? Are you working on any projects? Wait, are you someone I should know from our little group? Yeah, well, Sympathy just said that she finished a game, right? Move, submit, deselect, select. On item select, on item deselect. Is there anything else here? On item select, on item. Wait a minute. Oh, that's stupid. Are you kidding me? That's dumb. It has nothing to do with anything. It's literally like the event is wrong. Wow. That's so stupid. Okay. That's all it is. That's all it is right there. It was just the thing wasn't set right. No, I'm a rando. Well, welcome, rando. Randoda creator. Ranzoda. Yep, been posting a ton on YouTube. Also trying. I think YouTube would be interesting to work and just have it recording you, because I think that could have the same effect if you were just to record yourself working without humans watching you. It might encourage you to just focus on work. But I haven't tried it yet. I've threatened myself with it, but I haven't done it. I think this is something about having to be on a stream where people might stop in, holds me accountable to getting something done. I would start a tiny project, but it's late. Like now tonight? Yeah, well, oh, but I got on and started watching a streamer instead of doing work. I know how that goes too. This is for the longest time, I'm like, crap, I want to go watch this streamer, but I got to get work done. Oh, I got to lurk, and I have to say, okay, can't talk anymore. Got to go do some lurk work. I just enjoyed when you all talking about Game Maker and had to follow after I hear similar stories like mine. Yes, we're talking about the stories of trying to make stuff. I'd love to see some of your art if you want to share anything. Getting tamely easy seeing other first projects. Yeah. What did you miss? Oh, the thing about the game. Yeah. Started using Game Maker 2 weeks ago. Never have coded before, but I love the program. Yeah. So there's game. This is the game I'm working on. Got to work in the morning. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can drop off if you need to. I got Zombie I made out of pipe cleaners. Did you have a picture of it? YouTube's been an interesting journey, Motzi. It's a lot of learning and growing pains. Yeah, it's a lot of work too. So Game Maker is a good tool, I've heard. I've seen some real. I mean, like, people have made serious games in Game Maker and released them, and they've been successful. So, like, okay, I fixed the bug. I'm so happy. I fixed the bug. I'm doing the fix bug dance. And I gotta go message the person so they can see it. They're in Germany, so there's no way they're gonna see my message yet. Unless they want to get up early. Wake up! I want to show you this cool thing I did. You asked for it. I fixed your bug for you. Stop complaining. Dude, I'm not doing it on my own. It's not just me. Here's the other thing that I would say people forget. When you're making a game, there are so many pieces of making a game that unless you truly want to be a solo dev, you probably want to partner with people. You want to be like me or team? Right. So it's me and my partner, me and Jacob. We have other developers and artists that we sometimes pay for things, but really it's me and Jacob that do all the work for the most part. You know, like we have one of the developers that we recently added is helping with like some key input stuff, like doing the key mapping, which I think he's still working on. Oh, it's not even in here because this is the patch version. So I can't show it to you because right now the controls just look like this, but he's actually making like the remapping and rebinding of controls and stuff like that. But so what happened was me and Jacob doesn't have any software engineering experience. He just worked doing visuals. He made all the pretty, right? He does everything that looks pretty, but he also didn't do all the art himself. He got an art pack. If you're a solo dev or a small indie dev, you got to expect that you're going to reuse assets. Buy an asset pack, adjust it, tweak it, because there's no way you're going to be a perfect artist. Or if you're like an amazing artist, there's no way you're going to be a crack shot developer. And so while you might be able to be a solo dev and make something, the people who do that and find success are fraction of percentage. It's almost like the people on Twitch that actually make money, right? It's like 0.02% or something. So don't expect that. Expect that you're going to get some skill in a lot of areas, and then you're going to specialize in the areas that you're really great at. Jacob does all the visuals. He's really good at marketing. He's a little good at story, but I tend to do more of the story. And the visuals is a lot. Yeah, right. Like Grape Ape or anybody. Kulex, hello. How are you? Screw part nodes. Solo home built engine. Never finished. Woohoo! I have, like, I love the stories of of game development. I love Thomas Brush. Not because I watched Thomas Brush, but if you go on YouTube and you look up Thomas Brush, he did some games, he's had some level of success, and he has tons of YouTube videos and talking about game dev and how to be better game devs and what you need to do and so on. And his advice isn't terrible. He's got some pretty good insight. But the one thing to remember is that, and I'm going to say this without being 100% sure if this is true, but I'm going to just take a wild stab and say, if a game dev, like an indie dev, is truly insanely successful, they are very unlikely to be a major streamer or YouTube personality, right? Like if the things that they're doing to make games are making them wildly successful, there's a lower percentage chance that they're also going to be a major YouTube personality of any sort, because they won't need to, right? Like the game dev stuff will be the source of income. And if they're having to do something that's like YouTube videos, then they're generating their income by doing YouTube videos, not by making games. The other thing is, like, if someone were wildly successful at something and they do a video saying, here's how I did it, here's how you can be successful too, they are selling you snake oil. Because my story is, first of all, I don't have that success, just to be clear. But let's say I do reach success somehow. I'm 43 years old. I've had a full career in doing software development, 18 plus years in software. And before that, many years tinkering with code and trying to do game dev as a teenager and stuff, right? The whole span of my experience is like 25 plus years or more. So if you want to repeat what I did, you're going to have to do like, start when you're a teenager, really struggle with trying to code, leave high school and go into the military, really drive to change your life direction and like go to college, then get a career in regular software. Like the journey to get there is not going to be the same at all in any way. Talking about the crossover between content creators and artists is a very common problem with the snake oil. They claim income from their art, but in reality, they make income from their content. Correct. I mean, it would make sense if there is a streamer who found success streaming and then converted it to educational content creation. That is sort of like a natural transition. But like, if you're a video game developer, but a majority of your content is videos, you're not making money off of your video game. You're making something off of it, but you're really making money off of the content, selling people, hope and motivation on making their video game. And that's where you go back, like, what's your niche? Like, what can you find that'll help you be successful? But it's just funny to me. The whole thing is just funny to me. Because there's this weird, like, confirmation bias that happens. I see this person on YouTube that gets thousands or hundreds of thousands of views talking about their game dev. Therefore, they must be a very successful game dev. And it's possible that those two are aligned. But that possibility is fractional. If you look at like the number of content creators out there, you don't see a lot of people with massively successful video games streaming or doing YouTube content. You don't see Notch out there on YouTube, right? Unless you just want to F around just for the heck of it, It's not a thing you're going to see. I just fixed a major bug. I'm really happy about this. Yes! I fixed 4 bugs today. I'm so excited. They weren't major issues, but they were obnoxious issues. I need to put the fixed version on this one. 1.4.1.5. Patch version coming this week, folks. Hope. have any other issues I need to... I don't think so. Let me go take a look at my... I'm worried that I'm hearing some screaming or something. It is sort of paranoid when I'm streaming and I hear random sounds. I think it's okay for artists to make income off of content as opposed to art. I even think it's okay for them to be inspirational and give advice, but they should never say, here's how you can make as much as me, or be like... Right. Well, I would even say that it's generally not going to be the developer or person even selling that. What's going to happen is people are going to assume that, right? And some people will just let you keep thinking that. Some people will tell you to their face, no, this is not how you do it. But people watching it are going to consume it and think that, right? And there are like some people will still imply that given the knowledge they're sharing, they know how to make that success. So like Thomas Brush has had some success with games that he's launched. Like he's sold a good number of copies of his games. So it's not like he didn't sell anything, but it was clear that doing the content around it was more lucrative. Big red flag is they sell a course on how to be successful being an artist when they don't even make enough from their art to live on. Yeah. But that's what you do, right? You got to find ways to make content. And like, if your content is what's producing your income, I mean, people got to live somehow, right? I think that's fixed. This is fixed. Editing, sound control, that's fixed. Issue with changing to the other world, that's not fixed, but that's a different problem. Movable map, that's a thing. Mistakes in category when selling in stores. I don't know about that one. Cannot access save games, that's fine. Controller inputs, I don't know about that one. Equipment missing, that's fixed. This is all fixed. Broken bridge, characters locked, not fixed. Menu cursor out of the menu. I fixed this one actually. This is me doing support. The people that I would say that are really good to listen to. Input disable when selling. I thought I fixed this. I'll look at that later. The people that give you foundational advice, they don't say, here's like the 5-step process for you to be successful. They say, here's what you characterize as necessary to be successful. So like, if you want to say, what are the traits that have led genuinely to success for game devs? One of them is you gotta keep doing. Anybody who's ever been successful will tell you, other than the 1% that was just successful out of the gate, that the journey is never a linear progression upwards. It's like, you know, you go up and then you go way down, and you climb back up and you go way down again. And then, you know, it's like anyone who really hit that success curve eventually, it was from like years of failure. That's like one of the fundamentals, is that if you want to be successful, you've got to get super, super comfortable with failing at things a lot. You've got to be super comfortable with challenging yourself and doing things that are hard and pushing yourself beyond the boundary. These are not like mystical pieces of advice. The problem is most people don't want to hear that. Oh, you mean all I have to do is struggle for many, many years and still maybe not ever reach success? Oh, that's how you do it? Like, of course that doesn't sell. It's okay to make enough off content. Okay. Pretend like their income is from the art. Pixac Selman saying they know the best way to find gold. Yeah, they've never found gold. Your advice is okay, totally with you, but to sell advice is another thing. Yeah, advice. Can't walk if you can't crawl. Yeah, but usually it's like, it's not even that, like stumbling all the time. It's like that AI warehouse thing. You know, where it's like they show the little, they try to teach the little bot to walk and it just falls over like a billion times. No. Always be building something, I think, is probably the best advice. Correct. So, but I mean, there's like components to it, right? One of the things is, my opinion is, don't ever make your dream game. Never. Unless you are so filthy rich it doesn't matter. Don't ever make your dream game. And if you have enough money to do it, because you've made it big on something else, then just accept that no one's going to like it. It's not going to be successful. Don't ever make your dream game. If you're going to be a game dev, don't make the game you've always wanted to make. And that's something a lot of game devs actually tell you. Because it's just, you won't do it, right? You're going to put so much pressure on yourself because now it's your dream. Instead, just make stuff. Come up with a stupid idea and make it. Do a game jam and make it. Like Wallaber, now do I have PCRG? PGRC. Yeah. So Wallaber, game dev I admire greatly. A friend of mine, actually. He is freaking amazing. He's an amazing dev. He's definitely worth watching if you're interested in game dev. He will tell you out of the gate that even with overwhelmingly positive, very positive results, a game like this that he made, it's still a freaking struggle to make adequate income, right? He's S tier all the way. Super amazing guy. Does freaking amazing work. And this game came out of a game jam. He's like, oh, I'll just enter this game jam that has, I know what I'll do. I'll make a parking garage where you're having to race. And then he just made a game out of it. He didn't start out saying, I've always wanted to make a game where you race in a parking garage. But he just started like, well, then let's build off of it, right? And it got traction, it got interest, so he kept building it. And game devs, like, you have to iterate. You've got to try different ideas. You got to figure out, like, if there's sort of branding niches, because you can't make every game ever there is. You got to figure out, like, what you like making, even if you don't, it's not your dream game. It's still something that you, enjoy solving these type of problems, and then turn it into something. Yeah, he didn't. Let's not talk about how freaking amazing he is, right? Like, 2 arms tied behind his back, typing with his nose. I mean, he's a pro toe typer, if you know what I mean. I was told that from the get-go. I'm told that they were crazy. Boy, I was wrong. They were right. I'm trying to make it day by day. Yeah, well, and this is where game dev, like, the other problem is, I was saying this earlier, I'm in the SaaS-based software industry. It pays very well. If I were to do equivalent job in the game dev industry, it would be like a 20 to 30% pay cut from what I'm getting paid now. And yet, for some stupid reason, I'm compelled. Like, I love games. And I would love to do this full time. I'd love to work on things like this full time. And I think I would be good at it, but I'm not saying I'm bad at it now. But I mean, like, if it were my full-time gig and I had to process things, not just for the game itself, but also the industry, I think I'd be good at it. But it's a lot of work. A lot of work. Wallaber has 20 plus years of experience doing what he does. And a game like this, with so much like visual traction, been picked up by big streamers, and even with all that, he's still like, okay, well, I gotta start making my next game. Can't just like post on this one. You gotta keep doing it. Gotta keep making stuff. It's like, this is a freaking fully fleshed out game. Online multiplayer, all that stuff. In 15 years, I'm going to be like Wallaber for real. It's my life goal. Yeah, you just got to keep doing. He launched it and immediately. The next stream was working on it. Yes, and he's working on his new ideas. So, like, That's what's crazy about it, right? And I'm working on an RPG. There's no way I'm going to launch an RPG in a year. Maybe when I'm more experienced, I could launch an RPG in a shorter amount of time. There's some liberties you can get away with RPG. He's a machine, and I mean, he's brilliant, right? Super smart, knows how to solve problems. You talk to him about his experience from the past, like he was a QA person or something, but he's like a freaking brilliant engineer, right? He's like, I'm not really an engineer. I was really more of like a game designer, right? It's like, no, you're the engineer. He's more of a software engineer than I am, and my whole career has been software engineering. He's like the super genius people in any software industry that can just come in and solve any problem and do it quickly and effectively. Where like it takes me much more time to do what he does. I'm not saying I'm bad at what I do, but in comparison to Wallaber, I'm just like a little baby chipmunk or something. I don't know. I don't know where chipmunk comes from, but like he just has this just intuitive grasp of solving technical problems. I didn't mean to make this a gush session for Wallaber, but he's just really cool. And I was even like talking to him about some of the battle stuff I want to do, and he inherently he does not want to make an RPG. I think if he ever did, he would make the freaking best RPG ever. Especially because he doesn't want to. Like, he'd find a way to make it super fun and, you know, appeal to people who like RPGs, but still appeal to his own need to make some kind of like physics-based stuff. I want to be a mix of Chad and Wallaber. Can't wait for the game we worked on together. It's still an NDA. Yeah, well, it'll come out. You'll be able to point it out. Y'all got me monologuing. I got so happy about having the bugs fixed that I forgot that I was supposed to be working on things. What happens? Got some bugs fixed. I guess I could show a couple things before I wrap up tonight. Let me just commit. I got to go commit my changes. Yes, I use version control. No, not everybody does, but I do. So many fixes. I fixed a lot of outstanding issues, and I'm happy about it. Hold on a second though. This should not be open. Bugs fixed, baby. Do the little. I can't see my butt wiggling, which is fine because it wouldn't be appealing. But got them bugs fixed. I'm happy. These side, like, I didn't fix major issues. The bugs were pretty easy to fix, and they're my own making. But nights like these make me feel better than when I solve like really complicated problems. Because the complicated problems feel like I've just, destroyed my life trying to solve something that does one little thing. I fixed 4 bugs. Actually, more than 4. Consider the series of things I fixed. And Thor has stellar is that Thor? Oh yeah. Sympathy, did I show you my build server? Did I show that to you? Did you see it? I'll show it to you. Whether you like it or not. Look at this! Team City! Build server, baby! Unity build! Look at this. This is a build. It works. The builds work. Look at this. This is Team City triggering in a Docker container a build agent that runs a script called start build. And then this is actually Unity running in headless mode on one of my little gaming machines, like one of the machines we used at PAX. Isn't that cool? Sympathy, feel free to DM me on the side. I'm going to tell you something that I find the funniest about this. I could get the same effect by just having a shell script that's like 10 lines of code. But I have a build server. Time to upgrade from SaaS to SWE to SaaS DevOps, and then 130% your salary again. Yes, in AAA industry, I'd have to get a AAA job for that, right? I mean, I'm a chief technology officer by day, so I get paid fairly well. Look at this! Look at this! So... And the problem is Unity is not really well positioned to be part of a CI/CD pipeline, because the licensing server crap and other crap. So like, I had to do a lot of weird crap to make this work. It's not just like run the build command. You've got to like, I actually am SSHing from the container into the host machine to run the command that then calls Unity to build. And the Unity hub is on the host machine because I didn't want to get like the CI/CD container for the right version of Unity. It's just so dumb. But, and this is even done. This builds, it'll build the artifact, but I still need to add the piece that will push it to Steam. And then I'm going to add a piece that will make it auto deploy in Steam to like a QA environment or something. So I could have like a QA build that just pop up and start using. But still, you know, kind of fun. I'm excited by that. We're going to close this. But what I'll do is I'll like briefly talk through what I called Wallaber talked to me on yesterday. Oh my God, it was only yesterday. Because I'm trying to figure out how to do our battle stuff, and I wanted a smart brain to bounce ideas off of. He ended up confirming everything I thought I was going to have to do, which, you know, it's good and bad around that. And so I was going to spend some time tonight, like working on that plan, but given the timing, I'm probably just going to talk through some of my thoughts. Oh yeah, of course. But simply like the actual build part, like I use a tool called Build Automator, and there's a beta for Build Automator 2 that does basically everything I want. And all I do is I call it, like it's a one-liner to call the actual build from the command line to make it do all of the stuff. There's still some configuration stuff I have to figure out, but let me see. I can go back to the my branch. Where's my early access? Development, early access. Switch. I'm not sharing my screen for this, but it's not too exciting looking at version control. Unless you really like version control. I don't know. I can show you an example of what the script looks like, but it's so simple. It's so simple to call Unity in headless mode, which is kind of neat, you know? Unity's going to take a minute to reload because I just switched all the code out. All those bug fixes are gone, baby. I also break so many rules. Like I'm putting the build server stuff in the code just because I can't be bothered to split it out. It doesn't make any sense right now. So like I have the Team City Docker compose and Docker containers and stuff like that. So, so this is the build. Basically, you have the path to Unity. You tell it to run in batch mode. You say don't use any graphics, so don't open up the client, basically. Right now, I'm executing the build on this thing called QSF, the Quantum Console Build Automator. It has a preset name, the name of the thing that's going to define what the build is. And then it just outputs the logs. Literally one line. And it would run a build. The problem would be if I run it on the machine I do my development on, it would prevent me from using the editor because the headless mode is still using the editor. It's just headless. So I can't That's why I have a different machine. But as long as it's on a different machine, it's fine. Okay, let's see if this still runs. I sure hope that I have. I must have deleted all of my. Oh no! We're here. Okay, we're here. Okay. I don't make the characters don't walk in the correct directions or anything like that. But so part of the new battle system is on map. Last stream, I was just trying to figure out how to get the camera to work and how to get all the characters and monsters to run to their spots. There's some weirdness right now about where they end up, but that's just me. I have to hunt down where that happens. But you can also see, like, this battle is based upon wherever I was standing when the battle started. So I haven't really tested this thoroughly. But we can either say battles are in a spot and the characters will all run to their spot relative to that. Or I can make it centered around wherever the player is. I don't know which one we're going to end up doing consistently. But the big thing that I was going to want to figure out today, which I'm definitely not doing now, is like the monsters all came down to the spot that was at to fight. So on-map battles. And I want to emphasize how freaking difficult. So we talk about solving little bugs. Then we talk about this behemoth. This is a behemoth of code. Their battle. So I had to take their battle system, which was designed to open up a new map and do all of its contextual processing on a different map, and retrofit it back so it could run on the same map. Just so you know, like, you know, this battle sequence manager, refactoring final boss, yes. I still don't mind it though. I mean, you know, when I show Wallaber what I'm doing, he'll say, or you could have just built it from scratch. And I'm like, yeah, but then I wouldn't have known how someone would do something like that. Like, I don't even know anything about making battles for battlers. So I'd have to learn all the ins and outs of a battler. Or while I'm learning it, I can just take someone else's and tweak it, right? So their like legacy setup, the way they do their thing is this giant state machine with switch state. I get it. It's sort of the old style. And my new style is still insane. There's nothing, it's not like way better. But it at least gives me a visual way and a sort of a componentized way of managing it. And I actually find it funny that the battle looks like a brain. So this is the mother brain of battle. So the new battle system uses it's the same states, but the states are in nodes as opposed to in like flat code. Which means that, first off, it's highly inefficient right now. The way that their states are set up are fairly inefficient. And I could make it more efficient, but it's now compartmentalized more. Like I could actually know, here's where a thing happened. And so right here, this is where when you do an action, the animation plays and a message shows, and this is the reaction. Like after you attack, this is what happens next, right? The monsters react or whatever. And then it proceeds to the next phase of the sort of battle sequence. And why this is important is this part right here primarily is what you see when things happen in battle. Oh yeah, your little tactic. Did you want to share your little tactic? Hey Rez, what's up? Thanks for the wave. No, I don't. Okay, don't then. Fine, whatever. I like using the nodes though. I don't like it as a, like, I wouldn't want to foundationally program in nodes. all programmer art. Oh, okay. That's fine. I mean, who cares? There's plenty of games out there that look like programmer art. I wouldn't want to write like if statements or basic control statement in nodes like I was doing a programming language. But using like domain-based nodes makes sense to me. This is my domain, right? I'll show the item menu, and then once it's selected, do this. Domain-based structure makes a whole lot more sense to nodes for me than if this, then that. You know, like I just... Because of like just the insanity of the code. I mean, the code's already bad enough when you write it. Turn it into nodes. Seems set this variable, set that variable. Oh my god, that's insane. So the thing that I was going to try and figure out tonight, which I don't think I have the brain power for anymore, is how can we set up a system where once everything's calculated, like we're going to do an attack or whatever, we execute an action, a sequence of action. So if you're looking at, like, we're in battle right now, it's going to be a little janky because this is the work in progress part about. If I say I'm going to attack this hornet, the character steps forward, does a slash, an effect happens on the monster, and it plays an effect over the monster. So there's some really like this basic attack is the same for everybody in this current battle system. But we're going to want a melee character to jump forward and attack direct. And some attacks will want them to slide forward versus jump forward. And all of that stuff, we're going to have to figure out how we can have like default actions or specified actions, and they're going to have to be defined, essentially. And it's going to have to be dynamic so that you can say, well, whatever the target is or whatever. Giant Switch Condition Madness is too hard to reason about. Yes. So Kulex, like that's the thing is, when I was trying to understand how the whole system worked, I mean, it's crazy how it works. You have a switch statement, and then you have a couple places where it says like set state, or it says how do they change their state in here? It's not even in this part. Is it set state? I don't even remember how. There's just some like thing they say like next state or something, right? And then it loops on the update. So every frame, it's re-consulting the state. And if there's any state that it needs to stay in, it just doesn't set the flag to move on to the next one. It's so hard to mentally map that because it's just all over the place. I mean, it's like 3,000 lines of code. So getting a visual of it is much nicer than having to navigate through all of this. I suppose if I'd worked in it long enough, I'd just be like, oh, I know where this is, because I would just remember it by rote. But so now, like the next thing I have to do with this, I like the camera stuff I've kind of figured out. I'll have to figure out how to manipulate the camera. What I'm thinking we're going to have to do is use a node-based system for our actions. But here's the other rub. Let me go to like a pragmatic example. What would be? I guess this is an okay example. I mean, it doesn't really matter where I go. So this is our node system for like actions that take place on a map, and we can do things like we lock the player. We can change the graphics. We could make the player walk. So I can have like a walk node. I can say things like if it's the player or it's a follower of the player, and all these different knobs and things I can set. And I can string together a series of actions. It's fine. I can't directly reuse any of this as part of battles because this node system ties into the Smile Game Builder scripting system, which I still have Smile Game Builder open. So under the hood, they have a scripting system with a bunch of actions that take place when you, like, these are just like another state machine, another 3,000 line state machine that's like, if it's this command, then trigger this code, right? So my nodes generate commands for their scripting system to trigger, like a two-step process. So when this, for instance, if this script were to run, it would go through, interrogate this, and say, "Oh, this is a thing." It would generate a command for locking player control and changing graphic and all that, and then the script would run. So it wouldn't be a one-to-one. It wouldn't be like, oh, it immediately locks control and then it changes graphic and then it does that. No, because in my infinite wisdom, because I didn't know how their system worked, I didn't want to try to circumvent their script running solution. So instead, it's like, okay, I'll find a way where I can inject the commands and then let their script runner do the rest, which is fine. It works fine. But the battle system does not use. Well, it does. It does use a script runner, so I guess in theory I could use the battle system script runner. I don't want to, though. And I made my own nodes for the battle system. I completely threw out their script node system. And so if I want to do this so that it's real time and not janky, I'm going to have to retrofit some of the logic into the battle system. To be fair, again, in my infinite wisdom of over-engineering things, if we talk about walking, so we have the difference between nodes and commands. So a node is an X node, right? Story-based node. This is the actual thing that shows up on the graph. Then there's the command, which is all the configuration and execution of the action that needs to take place. For the most of my nodes use command. Some of the nodes I didn't do that with because it was such a small problem to solve, or I was just too lazy. So what I'm thinking I'm going to end up doing is taking, if I want to use a walk command, for instance, I'm going to have to make a mode where if the mode is one way, it'll use a script runner, and if the mode is the other way, it'll execute things directly. I'm gonna have to overload it essentially, or maybe I'll make an extended class that has its own execution that circumvents having to use node. So I'm not sure yet how that's going to work, but it would be kind of dumb for me to have made all of these different commands here, and not be able to leverage them in battle. I did make a way to do this already. Like there's like a battle node. Now I'm just talking through my thought process. So if we go to like dojo battle, for instance, this is a battle graph. This in Smile Game Builder, when there's a battle happening, there's other things that get triggered during the battle. And so I made a graph type for battles that you can do like story and other things. But this still uses a script runner. So it still does the weird, like, inject the script and then run it. But I'm going to have to not do that, I think. I'm going to have to think about it, I guess. It's hard for me to decide if I want to completely circumvent the Smile Game Builder script runners or not. The problem is, if you look at how they do their actions, which would be in here, I think. So when they execute actions, they don't use a script runner. So like if there's an attack, for instance, they do some things here where it's like, oh, here's the data. Let's get the motion for the equipment that we're supposed to use. If the camera is enabled, let's do the camera setup. Then we cue the actor's state to be attacked. The actor is the character that's going to do the attack. And so, all this stuff is handled in real time, which would make sense for battles. You want to have, timing-wise, you want to have really tight control over the time of the attack and all that stuff. So when we do, I think it's when we do draw, maybe? Actor state type, so it's like dot attack, right? So when they're doing an attack, and this is in, where's my little thing that tells me where I am? Why is it not? It's in update, right? So the update method. So all these things get, the update methods chain down. They're not using mono behaviors. So when it's in the attack mode, this is what it does. So they're not using their script runner. They are doing inline direct manipulation of the character during the actions that are happening. And so part of me wants to use this as an opportunity to stop using their script runner, because using their script runner, it's complicated and hard to debug and makes it so I'm sort of tied in and dependent on their system. Hey Kulex, I've been doing software development in SAS for so long, I'm used to this. Like, to me, this is normal. Oh, you got some framework and you want to completely change how some core things work. Well, you just wrap the framework in your own framework. I heard you needed a framework, so I put a framework in your framework. And really, the real problem is time. It was more because I didn't have time to... Because otherwise, what I might have done is fully understand how their system worked and then create like a parallel system that worked my own way without relying on some of their core components. But because I didn't have time to do that, I had to like I had to do the strangler pattern. Strangle the crap out of their framework. Or that like ship thing where like the ship gets replaced by another ship, by the thing that, consumed it. Anyway, so I was going to work a little bit on this tonight, but I think with the bug fixes, just talking through it is helpful for me. Just talking about the direction that I'm probably going to go. Because what I'm thinking is, I think I can retrofit the commands and I can continue to extend the base story structure, node structure that is not dependent upon SGP stuff, which I did. Where did I do that? Somewhere in my source. We have battle graph nodes. So I made a base node. Where put it? Node graphs. So I made my own node graphs thing, and I think I can expand it here, because now this thing only uses my runner. It doesn't use their script runner stuff. It has all this base thing like a base graph runner, and this runner will just go. It has a context. It'll run. The context is just like the data that we want to pass around. And it will just process the nodes in its own way, as opposed to having to take into account Smile Game Builder's stuff. So I think what I would do is just expand that, right? Because I already have a whole battle section that has all the battle graph stuff. And I'll just make equivalent actions, I guess, for the things, and I'll have to... so then building out different like battle actions would involve either making one graph or multiple graphs that live here. This looks like a lot, but it's just this here, right? See, I even started, you can see this as actions. I started thinking about doing it, then I never actually did anything with it, I don't think. I never did anything with it. I was like, oh, here's what I should do. So clearly, way back when I started working on this a year plus ago, I was like, oh, I should do that. What did I do? What kind of graph is that? Battle action graph. Look at that. So I guess I already prepared myself for this, and I'm just remembering. I never actually did anything though, because I started down that path and I realized before I get there, I need to do all this other stuff. Like the battle sequence graph, that's the sequence of events that we see. And then the battle action graph will be the individual actions. So when the actions are defined, it'll cut over to using those. And maybe what I'll do is by default, it'll use whatever the base like the hard-coded action stuff is, that however Smile Game Builder does it, until we can replace it with our own version. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Not doing work anymore. Just talking about work. I guess that's work. Probably wrap up, I suppose. Tomorrow I'm going to be wifeless because my wife is going to an event over the weekend. And I'll have all 3 kids all to myself. It'll be great. Great time. At least the youngest is now 4.5. She's a little bit more manageable than she used to be. Life progress. Come on, Chrome. We got it. Where should we go tonight? Oh, Staff is streaming. Of course he is. At some point, it's hard to get them interested right now. They don't have the same interest that I did at their age. My 11-year-old daughter has access to so much technology. But she doesn't want to really get in depth. Oh yeah, of course. I'm always happy to talk about this stuff. I like geeking out about solutions. And that's how I know that I really am a software engineer or technologist. I love that you can like knock on somebody's stream. So funny. But not everybody wants to hear it. I don't know. And more importantly, if I do that, I'm not getting work done. I'm talking about work. I'm not getting work done. I do want to get work done. It's all sorts. I love tech, but neither of my little brothers like tech. Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to force my kids to want to be interested in technology. We're going to jump in to see stuff. And I hope you all have a great night. Thanks for hanging out and chatting. I enjoyed the conversations. So Sympathy, Kulex, Mizo, and so on. Thanks for being here. Found that doing that from time to time actually helped me reinforce. It does. You're right. It is helpful. I agree. It's just like sometimes I feel like I should be getting work done. You know. Y'all have a good night. I should be back on Saturday, even though I have the kids. Because whatever. YOLO. More work, more battle stuff. See y'all then. Or not. Either way. Have a good night.